This is a werewolf, this is an animagus, this is a shapeshifter, and this is Wolfman, the new Blumhouse horror film directed by Lee Whannell, the man who brought us The Invisible Man. Three things that this movie does right, one thing that I am not so sure about, and one thing I kind of didn't like. First thing this movie does right is cast Christopher Abbott in the lead. He is fantastic as the lead character who, eventually becomes the Wolfman. That is not a spoiler. That is kind of what this whole movie is about. He's a fantastic father, he is a concerned husband, and his father has just passed away under mysterious circumstances, so him and his wife are taking their daughter to go back to the cabin in the woods where he grew up to kind of clear out his things. The other thing this movie does really well is the pacing. Once this movie sets its claws into you, it does not relent, and it just keeps going right into the very end. Lastly, the sound design is incredible. I saw this in IMAX and I felt like I was in the woods. One thing that I'm not quite sure about, I understand why they did it in the context of the film, but I'm not entirely sold on the execution, is the character design of the Wolfman. That is a huge point of contention for a lot of fans already that I'm seeing, and it was something that came up for me. Wolfman is an iconic, universal monster, and that is going to be something that can either make or break your experience. It didn't entirely take away from this movie for me, but it is something that left me scratching my head a bit. And lastly, unfortunately, the thing that did not work for me with this film is the action. This is a horror movie that's all set in one location, and it's, horror movies rely heavily on the action to help build suspense. I felt like a lot of the choices that the characters made and the action set pieces were a little stale, and as well executed as the pacing was and the acting was, and everything else was there. When we got to the action sequences themselves, I felt like it left me wanting more. But let me know what you thought about Wolfman and if you think that this is opening the door for another revival of Universal monsters. Ow!